to perhaps stay here and take part in the thing. Of course, you mentioned the European City of Culture. It's worth just recounting, of course, that it was Melina Mercouri who started the idea all those decades ago, and Athens, of course, was the first one then, and it will be that again with a bit of luck, so that's fantastic. So thank you very much for that. So what we'll do now is we're going to bring up the various panelists. So if Sonia and Toby and Beverley could come up, and I'll give a short introduction. We have until 12:30, so our panelists are going to be quite short in terms of their own presentations, and then we'll open it up, and Gordon, it's great that you're staying on the panel, then you can perhaps take part in the questions too. So
I should add, I should have said this, that everything you saw in that presentation was what I learned from 10 years of working with Vicky and for
well, that's very kind. We had rehearsed that before, so he's been very good. I'm just saying, so that's excellent, thank you. In terms of the way we will do it, I think Sonia will start first. Sonia Delesalle-Stolpergood is French, despite the second German surname from her husband. And she is a journalist running the Libération outfit here from London. So you're the UK correspondent, but you can talk to us about France. So do you want to do it sitting down, or
I don't know,
whatever you like?
I think I'll sit down.
You sit down. Okay. You carry on from there.
If you
5 minutes on
you stop
something to
me.
do with France. I'll stop you.
So if you don't hear me, I'll stand up, but I think it should be fine. I was trying, first of all, to find a way to link France and Athens and Greece, which was a bit difficult, but then I found something. So I found two anecdotes which are related, and actually related to Lille in north of France, where I'm going to talk about. The first anecdote is about back in 1995, there was a whole plane full of people from Lille and the whole area who flew to Atlanta. And their aim was to convince the Olympic authorities there to give them the Olympic Games for 2004. As you might all know, Lille lost to Athens, actually. And then in 2004, Lille became a European cultural, European capital of culture. So Gordon was talking about Athens, hoping to get that as well. So I think there is a link there. But I wanted to talk about 2 weeks ago, I witnessed some kind of invasion in London of something like 250 people coming from Lille and north of France. So it's now, the region is called, now we've got a new name for the region, which is called, it was called the North before, very basic and clear. And now it's called les Hauts-de-France, so the High of France, because they thought it sounds better, actually. And so they came with a whole train of Eurostar, I think, and they all came to, basically, I'm going to talk about the B word, so the Brexit. Officially, it had nothing to do with Brexit, except, of course, it had everything to do with it. Because it was a whole group of entrepreneurs, businessmen and women, academics, politicians, public transport chief executive, public services. It was quite impressive. And they came for a whole day of networking with approximately the same amount of British, but not just, entrepreneurs. And the whole idea was showing how Lille and its region has become a big hub, very dynamic, very, the first area in creation of jobs in 2017 in France. And through a kind of ecosystem, an organic ecosystem, interlinked. That initiative is called Link Lille, actually. And it goes back to those initiatives I was talking about, that plane in 1995 and 2004. And it helped to put Lille on a map, maybe not a world map, but at least a European map. And you were talking about the outreach and international outreach, and it helped, I think. And in this sense, that what they came to sell was not just each of their specificities or how good they are at what and what, but it was the interlinked of every single actor of that region who could help to greet some companies who would want to settle in the area, or just even commuting, as they were saying. Or as well, again, we go back to Brexit, they did approach some Japanese, Indian companies who might have come to London as a gateway for European Union, and who might now need another headquarter. That doesn't mean they're going to leave London, but that means that they might need another place in Europe to go around European Union. And of course, Lille is very convenient. It's an hour and a little bit more than an hour from London by train, half an hour from Brussels, an hour from Paris. So it is quite convenient. And what was interesting, and I thought it was fascinating, because of course you had that whole group, they were all in the St. Pancras Renaissance Hotel. So it was very busy, very loud, talking in French, English, lots of Franglish, something like that, and which was quite funny. And of course you had the champagne, the macaron, the cheese. After all, it was French people coming over. But it was just not just that. It was a lot of showing. For example, you had some pension companies or insurance companies coming and saying, well, if a company think about moving some of their employees to Lille, here's what we can offer in terms of health coverage on top of the national health coverage. Then you had academics saying, here we have bilingual schools, international schools, primary schools, secondary school, university. It's a big hub in terms of university. Lille, you have some of the most famous French business school, l'EDEC, and political engineers and everything. Then you had a job center representative saying, we have opportunities for partners, actually, who might want to move in with, and we have that. And then you had the transport hub saying, yes, we have a great transport hub as well. And you had as well the culture representative saying, we have so many museums and so many cultural events. So it was a complete interconnected initiative and all together. And you had as well, of course, the region representative and the city representative, the political one, who are actually from completely opposite political sides, but which were talking exactly the same language. They had learned their pitch very well, but they were really saying, we're here for a win-win situation. Again, taking back what Gordon was saying. So the idea is not stealing some business from London, but it's trying to have an interconnection between the two cities and many other cities. And that idea of, and it is something, I'm talking about Lille, but it is something in France which is happening in every single big cities. You have that with Bordeaux, which is, I don't know if you know Bordeaux, apart from the wine, but it is a beautiful city, but it has been for quite a long time quite a sleepy city, where you were going as a tourist for the seaside, for the good food and good wine, but there was not much happening in terms of business. Now it's all slowly changing, but it is changing, and then now you have the train link from Paris, which is now 2 hours. In 2 hours you are in Bordeaux, and vice versa, which actually there was some outrage in Bordeaux saying we don't want the Parisian to come down to our nice city. But it's happening in Bordeaux, it's happening in Marseille, it's happening in Toulouse, in Lyon. So it is something which is quite important. In Lille and les Hauts-de-France, it is the first, in France, it's the first region incubator of startups as well. So it's a very young population, very active, very dynamic. And the most, probably one of the oldest examples was Microsoft, who in 2005 opened a hub there for startups. But the latest one was in last March, it was Alacrity Foundation, which of course in France became Alacrité France. It's better, and they opened a startup hub, and where basically for 1 year they support young graduates from one of those university and everything with their project of startup. For 1 year, these young graduates are paid by Alacrity, and after 1 year they decide if they're going to launch that initiative or not. But what is very interesting and very new, at least in France, is that for the first time the region, so the public authorities, the region and the city have each invested 1 million euros in that initiative, in the thing. As Xavier Bertrand, who is the head of the region, was saying, it's the first time ever that the region has become part of the capital of a private company, actually. But it's the idea that all the actors need to work together to have it succeed. And and it seems that it is succeeding, and their aim is to launch approximately 15 startups within 5 years, which is a reasonably nice. So the new capital tech might be Lille soon, anytime soon. Brexit.
Well, thank you very much. And Athens clearly needs to look at that and compete against Lille, which of course is quite interesting.
Again.
I'll let you carry on for a little bit longer, A, because it's very interesting, and B, because I had a sign over there saying, actually, we're meant to finish at 12:45. So you can relax by a couple of minutes each. so thanks very much, Sonia, and we'll come back to some of those themes. So I'd like to move on to Beverley, who actually